Hello, today we're going to continue working on area and perimeter problems. The key to success in today's activities and in this video is that you fully read every problem. Now, the first problem we have here says Adam was painting a wall in his room. The wall was 4 feet wide and 4 feet tall. What is the area of the wall he has to paint? Now, the first thing I'm going to do for all of these problems is first draw out my square or rectangle that they're describing in the problem. Seeing this visual model is very helpful when solving each problem. So it says that the wall was 4 feet wide by 4 feet tall, which it has the same width and the same length, which is telling me that this is going to be a square. And something that we know about a square is that it's created by 4 equal sides. So that's telling me that all 4 sides are going to be 4. Now the next thing I'm going to look at is reread the question it's asking. It says, what is the area of the wall he has to paint? Now I notice that I see area, that's what they're asking us for. So I know that area is length times width, or in a square it's side by side. So here I have length times width, or really I actually have side times side. So my area here in this problem, to find it, all I'm going to do is do 4 times 4. And that's all I'm going to do. And I can even look at my figure that I drew to help me figure out what my side lengths are. And we know that 4 times 4 is 16, but my unit of measurement is going to be square feet. So it's asking, what is the area of the wall he has to paint? The answer to my question would be that he needs to paint 16 square feet. Now for my next question here, it says a lawn had an area of 35 square feet. If it was 7 feet width, how long was it? So again, I'm going to draw a picture of my lawn, and I'm looking here and it's most likely, in fact it is, a rectangle. So here we know that the width is 7 feet wide, and we need to figure out how long is it. So I'll just put an L there for my unknown value. But we do know that my area is 35 square feet. So now here we know what the area is, we know what my width is, and we need to find my length. So now here I'm going to actually rewrite this equation that I know that area is my length times my width. And I'm going to fill in what I have. What's given to me as an area is 35. We don't have the length, so I'm just going to leave a blank line there. But we know that my width is 7. So I need to figure out 7 times some number gives me 35. Now some of you might have recognized I can do 35 divided by 7 and that will give me my answer. Some of you might need to write these steps out, and that's absolutely fine. So 7 times 5 confirms that this equation is true, because 7 times 5 is 35, and they told us that our area is 35. So by filling in that missing space with 5, it confirms that my equation is correct. Now that's telling me my missing value of my length would be 5 feet. And that is the answer to this problem. And I like to go back and reread the question saying, if it was 7 feet width, how long was it? So we're finding that missing value here of 5 feet, confirming that I did answer the question in my problem. Notice I'm rereading this entire problem, and that's okay. You need to make sure you're reading each problem. Just like this next one, speaking of reading, we have a book. A book had a length of 5 inches and a width of 8 inches. What is the perimeter of the book? First thing I'm going to do is draw out my book. I notice that my book is 5 inches, and again, notice I'm labeling everything. My length is going to be 8 inches here. And I notice I have a rectangle. Now I like to label all four sides just in case if they want perimeter area. It just helps me when answering the problem. So if I know that the width is 5 inches, my other width in this rectangle is also 5 inches, the opposite side length. And just like here, my length is 8 inches, so the opposite length is going to be 8 inches as well. So now I'm going to reread the question one more time. What is the perimeter of the book? I'm going to circle the word perimeter because that's our key word telling us what to do. Now I'm going to recall, how do I find the perimeter of a rectangle? What I need to do for a rectangle is add all four sides that you see. Luckily, I labeled all four sides, so all I'm doing is adding these four numbers. So I have my two lengths, 8 plus 8, and then I have my two widths, 5 plus 5. So now I'm going to take it step by step. I like to add my lengths first, which is 16, and I also have my two widths, which is 10. 5 plus 5 gives me 10. And now my total perimeter of this book, 16 plus 10, is 26 inches. So the answer to this problem, I'm going to take a look. Did I answer the question? What is the perimeter of the book? Yes, the perimeter is 26 inches. For this next one here, we have Sarah had a sheet of paper that was 3 inches long and 7 inches wide. What is the perimeter of the paper? So just like the previous problem here, I'm going to draw the piece of paper. I know that we have 3 inches as one side length and we have 7 inches as my other side length. So what I'm going to do is, if I know that this side length is 7, I know that this side length is also 7. If I know that this side length is 3, I know that this side length is also 3. Notice my two widths are the same, my two lengths are the same. They're asking us in this problem, what is the perimeter of the paper? Perimeter, again, just like the previous problem, means I'm adding all four sides. So I have my two lengths, 7 plus 7. Plus my two widths is 3 plus 3. And notice, rectangle has 3 sides. I need to make sure I'm adding all four sides. A rectangle has 4 sides. Make sure you're adding all 4 sides. So now here I have 7 plus 7 is 14. Plus 3 is 6. And now my final step here is perimeter equals 14 plus 6, which is 20 inches. Now again, notice a rectangle has 4 sides. That means you're adding all 4 sides, which means I have 4 numbers, 7 plus 7 plus 3 plus 3. I'm adding 4 numbers together. Notice I also redrew this rectangle here. I wrote out my work. You're going to need to write out your work today, especially to help you through these problems. Make sure you're always reading the problem. It says, what is the perimeter of the paper? And I'm confirming that I did answer the question. I found that the perimeter is 20 inches. Now for this next problem, it's saying find the area. But I notice I don't just have a normal rectangle like I dealt with in the last few problems. I have a rectilinear figure. Now try saying rectilinear one more time because it's a pretty fun word to say. So here in this rectilinear figure, I have 2 rectangles. Now the first thing that you can do is you can either break this rectilinear figure into 2 rectangles this way, or you can also break it this way. It doesn't matter, they are both correct. I am going to do it this way and label the 2 rectangles that I see, rectangle 1 and rectangle 2. I'm going to find first the area of rectangle 1. And I notice here I have a width of 3 and a length of 4. So to find the area, I'm going to do 4 times 3. Which that's telling me that now my area is 12 centimeters, square centimeters. Now I'm going to do the same thing to rectangle 2. And I'm looking at rectangle 2 and I see a lot of numbers around this rectangle, but I want to look at the full side length here. So I have 8 centimeters here, and I have 5 centimeters here as my width. So just like the previous problem, all I'm going to do is length times width, and I see that 8 times 5 is simply 40 square centimeters. And now my last step to find the area of this rectilinear figure is to take the area of figure 2 and add it to the area of figure 1. Now you might need to rewrite this vertically, that's absolutely fine. And now I'm going to simply add these numbers together, giving me a total area of 52 square centimeters for this rectilinear figure. Now, as you've been working on these figures in the past, make sure that you're breaking this rectilinear figure into individual rectangles. That will make it much easier when finding the area. Feel free to redraw this as well on a scrap piece of paper to help you with this problem. Now, I notice for this problem, I see the exact same figure. In fact, it is, except the directions are different. The directions this time says find the perimeter. Notice it is so important that you read the directions because even though it's the same figure, it's asking you to do something different. Now, in terms of the perimeter, that means I'm going to add all the sides I see here. However, this time in a rectilinear figure, yes, it's created from rectangles, but there's not just 4 sides. So I'm going to take it piece by piece, and I personally like breaking it into about 3 numbers at a time. So as I'm highlighting these sides, I see I have the number 4 plus 3, and let's do this side length here plus 9, which if I do 4 plus 3 I get 7, and then 9 plus 7 is 16 centimeters. Now I'm going to continue, and because I still have 3 more sides I need to include. Here I have 8 centimeters plus 5 centimeters, and I like highlighting the sides so I make sure I include every single side when I'm finding my perimeter, because in a rectilinear figure I have many sides. And now I have 5 centimeters as well. And notice I know I added all the sides together because now this entire figure is outlined in green. That's telling me that I included the entire perimeter of this rectilinear figure. Now 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 8 is 18 centimeters. Now my last step here, I can take 18 centimeters and add it to 16. Now I broke this up into a few steps to make my adding much easier, which I recommend you do as well. 8 plus 6 is 14, and 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, giving me 34 centimeters as my total perimeter of this rectilinear figure. So I'm going back to the question and saying find the perimeter, and in fact I did find the perimeter, making sure I answered the question correctly. When you are completing the work today, I encourage you to refer back to this video that's on my YouTube channel at any time. I also recommend that you make sure you are reading all directions and going back and checking your work that you read everything and you answered everything following the directions given to you before you press submit.